I didn't think this was important. At first, I've been going back and forth for weeks about whether I should even talk about this. Not because I'm scared of being judged, but because once I say this out loud, it becomes real again. I want to be clear about something before I start. This is not a creepypasta. This is not something I made up for views. This actually happened to me. I'm sharing this because I still don't understand it completely, and maybe someone out there will. This happened about a year ago. At that time, my life was painfully normal. I lived alone in a small apartment. I worked a boring job, came home, ate whatever was easiest, and spent most of my nights doing nothing important. No drugs, no heavy drinking, no mental health issues that I knew of. That detail matters later. One night around 2:30 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Not insomnia, not anxiety, just one of those nights where your body is tired, but your mind refuses to shut off. So I did what I always did. I opened my laptop and started scrolling Reddit. I don't even remember what subreddit I was on at first. Probably something stupid. Memes. Ask Reddit. Nothing special. Then I came across a post that, at the time, didn't seem important at all. The title was simple, almost boring. I think someone is living in my apartment with me. I've seen posts like that before. Most of them end up being carbon monoxide leaks, sleepwalking, or paranoia. I clicked on it without thinking. The OP explained that things in his apartment were moving, food going missing, lights turned off that he remembered leaving on. Nothing dramatic, but what caught my attention was one small sentence buried in the middle of the post. He said, "Whatever it is, it only moves when I'm asleep." That sentence stuck with me longer than it should have. I remember smirking a little and thinking, yeah, sure. I scrolled through the comments. People were joking. Some were serious. Some were telling him to install cameras. Then I closed Reddit and shut my laptop. That should have been the end of it. But that night, something strange happened. I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. Not approximately. Not around 3. 3:17. Because my phone was right next to my bed and that number burned into my brain. I don't know what woke me up. No noise. No nightmare. Just that sudden awareness, like when you feel someone looking at you. I lay there for a few seconds, staring at the ceiling, listening. Everything was quiet. My apartment is small. One bedroom. A short hallway. Bathroom at the end. Kitchen and living room connected. From my bed I could see the edge of my bedroom door. And that's when I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. My door was open. I always close it when I sleep. Always. Not because of fear. Just habit. I told myself I probably forgot. That happens. Still, I didn't move right away. I don't know why, but I stayed completely still, listening harder than before. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear breathing. But I did feel something else. The air felt wrong. Not cold. Not hot. Just heavy. Like the room was holding its breath. After maybe a minute, I finally sat up and reached for the lamp on my nightstand. The light clicked on. Nothing. Empty hallway. Bathroom door closed. Living room dark. I laughed quietly at myself. I remember actually saying out loud, "Get a grip." I got up, closed the bedroom door, locked it, and went back to bed. I fell asleep within minutes. The next morning, I completely forgot about it. Until I went to make coffee. I opened the cabinet where I keep my mugs. One of them was already sitting on the counter, right next to the sink. I stared at it longer than I want to admit. I live alone. No pets. No roommates. I hadn't had coffee yet, so it's not like I did it half asleep. Again, I brushed it off. Maybe I took it out last night and forgot. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. But that uneasy feeling from the night before came back. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages. Everything normal. For the next few days, nothing happened. No open doors. No moved objects. I actually forgot about the Reddit post entirely. Then, one evening, I came home later than usual. Around 9 p.m. As soon as I opened my apartment door, I noticed something immediately. The smell. It smelled lived in. Not bad. Not rotten. Just warm. Like someone had been there recently. The lights were off, just like I left them. I walked through the apartment, checking each room. Everything looked normal. But when I got to the bathroom, I stopped. The mirror was fogged up. Not completely. Just enough that someone had clearly taken a hot shower. My shower. I stood there, frozen. The water wasn't running. The room wasn't warm anymore. Which meant this didn't just happen. It happened earlier. I checked the towel rack. One towel was damp. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my bed with the lights on until the sun came up. I didn't call the police. I didn't tell anyone. Because I didn't have proof. Just feelings. Just small details. And every time I tried to explain it in my head, there was always a logical excuse. But deep down, something felt wrong. Like the beginning of a story I didn't want to be part of. A few days later, I went back to that Reddit post. It was gone. Deleted. No update. No explanation. Just gone. That's when I started to realize something I still wish I hadn't. Whatever was happening in that apartment, it didn't want to be noticed. And somehow, it already knew I was awake. The proof I didn't want. I didn't go to work that day. I told my boss I was sick, which wasn't exactly a lie. My body felt fine, but my head was completely off. I kept replaying everything in my mind. The door, the mug, the shower. Small things. Too small to call the police. Too big to ignore. By noon I decided I needed proof, not because I wanted to catch someone, but because I needed to prove to myself that I wasn't losing my mind. I went to a local electronics store and bought 2 cheap security cameras. Nothing fancy. Motion detection. Night vision. Local storage. The cashier joked, "Paranoid much?" I laughed with him. I wish I hadn't. I set one camera in the living room, angled toward the hallway. The second one I hid on a shelf in my bedroom, pointed at the door. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even text a friend. That night I made sure everything was normal. Doors locked. Lights off. Bedroom door closed. Before going to bed, I checked the cameras on my phone. Both feeds were clear. Nothing unusual. I lay down and stared at the ceiling, waiting for sleep. It came fast. Too fast. The next thing I remember is waking up to my alarm. 6:45 a.m. My head felt heavy, like I'd been drugged. My mouth was dry. My body felt stiff. That wasn't normal for me. The first thing I did was grab my phone. No notifications. No motion alerts. That confused me more than it should have. I got out of bed and immediately noticed something. My bedroom door was open. I stood there, staring at it, my heart slowly starting to race. I checked the cameras. The living room feed showed nothing unusual. No movement all night. Then I opened the bedroom camera footage. At first it looked normal. Me lying in bed, breathing, not moving much. I fast-forwarded. 1:12 a.m., 2:03 a.m., 2:58 a.m. Then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the video glitched. Just for half a second. When it came back, my bed was empty. I leaned closer to the screen. The timestamp was still moving. I wasn't in bed. I rewound it, watched it again. At 3 hours 16 minutes and 59 seconds, I was there. At 3 hours 17 minutes and 0 seconds, I was gone. No sitting up. No getting out of bed. Just gone. My chest tightened. I fast-forwarded again. The bed stayed empty for 6 minutes. 6. At 3:23 a.m., I walked back into frame. Not stumbled. Not sleepy. I walked calmly, got into bed and laid down. I stared at the screen in silence. The worst part wasn't that I left the bed. It was how normal I looked doing it. I called a friend. I didn't explain everything. I just asked him if he'd ever sleepwalked before. He laughed and said, "No man, That's creepy. Why? I didn't answer. That day, I checked my apartment more carefully than ever before. The front door had been unlocked. Not forced. Unlocked. The deadbolt wasn't engaged. I always lock it. In the kitchen, a chair was slightly pulled out. Not enough to notice at a glance. Enough to notice when you're looking for it. That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed up, sitting on my bed with the lights off, watching the hallway. Hours passed. Nothing happened. At around 4 a.m., exhaustion hit me like a wall. I don't remember falling asleep. I just remember blinking. When I opened my eyes again, it was morning. Same heaviness. Same dry mouth. I checked the footage immediately. This time, the living room camera caught motion. At 3:17 a.m., the hallway light turned on. I watched myself walk out of the bedroom. I paused the video. Something was wrong. The way I walked wasn't right. My posture was straighter than usual. My movements slower. Deliberate. I didn't look around. I walked straight into the kitchen. I pulled a mug from the cabinet. The same mug I found on the counter days ago. I poured water into it. Not coffee. Just water. Then I stood there. Not drinking. Just standing. For almost 2 minutes. Staring at nothing. Then I turned my head and looked directly at the camera. I felt sick because I wasn't looking through it. I was looking at it, like I knew exactly where it was. I reached up. The feed went black. When the camera came back on, I was walking back toward the bedroom. I didn't disable the camera. I covered it with my hand. That's when I realized something I hadn't considered before. This wasn't someone living in my apartment. This wasn't an intruder. This wasn't even sleepwalking. Whatever was happening, it was using my body, and it only came out when I was asleep. That afternoon, I searched Reddit again. I found similar posts, different usernames, different cities, same details. 3:17 a.m. missing time. Objects moved. Every single post ended the same way. Deleted. No updates. No conclusions. One comment appeared over and over again before disappearing. Don't install cameras. They don't like being watched. That night, I locked my bedroom door. I stacked a chair under the handle. I told myself this would end it. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up. Unable to move, I could hear my bedroom door handle rattling. From the inside, I was never alone. I couldn't move. Not my arms. Not my legs. Not even my fingers. My eyes were open, fixed on the dark outline of my bedroom door. The chair I had wedged under the handle was shaking. Not violently. Not like someone was trying to break in. Slow. Controlled. Like whoever was on the other side knew exactly how much pressure to use. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would tear through my chest. The door stopped moving. Silence. Then I heard my own voice. Not speaking. Breathing. Slow. Calm. Right next to my ear. I felt it before I saw it. The mattress dipped. Something sat on the edge of my bed. I could smell myself. My shampoo. My laundry detergent. That's when the thought hit me so hard it almost made me black out. Whatever this was, it wasn't outside the room. It was already inside. I felt fingers brush against my wrist. Warm. Familiar. The voice whispered, so close I could feel the air move. Go back to sleep. And I did. I don't remember closing my eyes. I just remember waking up. It was morning. The chair was still under the handle. The door was still locked. Nothing looked disturbed. For a few seconds, I almost convinced myself it was a nightmare. Then I checked my phone. There was a video recording. Not from my cameras. From my phone. I hadn't opened the camera app. The video was recorded at 3:17 a.m. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. I pressed play. The screen showed my bedroom. The angle was wrong. Low. Too low. Like the phone was being held by someone standing near the floor. The camera slowly lifted, and I saw myself, standing at the foot of my bed, eyes open, not blinking. My face looked empty, not angry, not possessed, just vacant. Then I smiled. It wasn't my normal smile. It was wider, stretched, like it was being tested for the first time. I watched myself lean down toward the camera, toward me, and say something that made my blood run cold. "You really thought you were the original?" The video ended. I threw up in my sink. I didn't go to work. I didn't call anyone. I sat on my couch, staring at the wall, replaying everything. The mug, the shower, the way I walked on camera. It all made sense now. That thing wasn't breaking in. It wasn't sneaking around. It lived here, and somehow it always had. I went back through old photos on my phone. Photos from years ago. Parties. Family gatherings. Random selfies. That's when I noticed it. In some photos my smile looked wrong. In others, my posture was different. And in a few, I didn't remember taking the picture at all. I checked the metadata. Dates. Times. 3:17 a.m. Over and over again. The truth came together in pieces I didn't want. This wasn't possession. This wasn't a parasite. It was a replacement. A copy. Something that learned me, used my body while I slept, practiced my voice, my movements, my life, and little by little, it was getting better at being me than I was. That night, I didn't fight it. I didn't set traps. I didn't lock doors. I laid in bed and waited. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up. Paralyzed again. But this time, it didn't hide. I felt myself sit up. I watched from inside my own body as my feet touched the floor. I was a passenger. We walked to the bathroom. The mirror light turned on, and I saw us. Not two people. One body, but two expressions. My reflection blinked. I didn't. The reflection spoke. "You're tired," it said. "I can take over now." I tried to resist. I focused on my breathing, on my heartbeat. The reflection leaned closer. "You already let me," it whispered. That's when I understood the final horrible truth. I wasn't being replaced. I already had been. The real me was the one who only existed when I was awake, when people could see, when I was needed. Every night at 3:17 a.m. it lived. Fully. Completely. And the more I fought it, the more exhausted I became. Until one morning, I didn't wake up at all. At least, not first. Because the last thing I remember is opening my eyes and seeing myself already standing there, smiling, holding my phone, recording. If you're watching this and thinking this sounds familiar, check your timestamps, check your photos, and if you ever wake up at exactly 3:17 a.m. for no reason at all, don't install cameras. They don't like being watched.